Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your pre-trip webinar for your upcoming trip to Croatia, Slovenia, and the Adriatic coast. Appreciate everybody joining in today just to get a little bit of preparatory information for that trip. And so, yeah, I see a bunch of our members already on. So welcome, everyone. It's nice to meet you all, at least by way of Zoom, even though it's a one-way conversation for now. We will be joined as well by your host of the tour, Mara Isaacson, who I was just chatting with a moment ago. I don't see her there yet, but I'm sure she will be here. So I'm just going to go and make sure that she is all on, and that she is all in the right place and going to be joining us as well. So you can meet your lovely and charming host for this great trip around Croatia that we have now run so often that although we're always tweaking these things, but I'm excited for you because it's a great ship, a great program. Everything's great. So we'll get started in about a minute's time. So just, yeah, okay. So yeah, Mara's just having some issues with her Wi-Fi. So I'm just checking in with her. So we will just see here. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're just waiting for our host of our trip, Mara Isaacson, to join us. And then we'll get started just any minute now. So thank you again for your patience. And yeah, thank you again for your patience. And we, as I say, we're just waiting for Mara, who will hopefully join us in a moment. I see it's just 11:15 now. It just turned 12. So we're going to give her one more minute to sign up with us. So good morning. And thank you for joining us for your pre-trip webinar for your upcoming trip to Croatia, Slovenia, the Adriatic coast, just over a month away. You must all be very excited. I'm excited for you. This is one of our most favored programs that we've done now a number of different times. And every single time, as with all of our trips, we're always making them a little bit better and different and more exciting. So let's see, has Mara been able to log in yet? Not yet. Okay, so I'll just say a quick hello to everyone who has put their name in the chat box. So good morning to Liz out in Edmonton, Trish in Collingwood, Sandra out in South Surrey in BC. Hi, Anne in Vancouver. You will all meet each other in just a few weeks' time when you arrive in Croatia. So good morning also to Lori in Craigleith, Ontario. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Okay, so Mara seems to be having some technical issues getting in. Does happen. Let's see. It's she might be a little sleepy-eyed because Mara is currently in Australia, so it's 1 o'clock in the morning there. Okay, great. So we're going to continue on with the hopes that Mara will be able to log in at some point. She is the host for the trip, so I'll introduce her in just a second. Once again, this is the pre-trip webinar for your Croatia, Slovenia, and Adriatic coast program that is happening starting in just over a month's time. And I'm sure you're all very excited. I'm excited for you because I love this trip. It's a beautiful part of the world. And yeah, you get to experience it all very soon. So what we're going to cover today, first of all, I'm going to introduce your host, who is hopefully going to join us in a minute or so. She's just figuring out some technical stuff with Wi-Fi and all the rest of it. We've all had that problem before. We're going to talk a little bit about pre-trip preparation. So what you should think about getting ready for your trip, the arrival into Ljubljana, where you're starting the trip, and I'll touch on the itinerary. I'm not going to go into the itinerary in great detail. We're not going to go through it day by day. But if you have a question about any part of it, there's Mara. She made it. Okay, so she's just connecting to to the audio here. So we will, as I say, touch on the itinerary. We're not going to go. I'll just give you sort of a few key moments and things to be aware of. If you have questions that would be beneficial for the whole group, then please do pose them by typing into that, either the chat box or the Q&A box. I see a question in there already, Anna, which I will answer at the Q&A session. It's just easier if we sort of keep going with the flow here. So yeah, first and foremost, your wonderful and charming host, Mara Isaacson. Mara, are you there? I just saw your screen a second ago, and then you disappeared on me.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just having trouble with my with my screen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can hear you at least, and we can see your beautiful face here. So, Mara, well, why don't you say a few words about yourself, Mara? Obviously, you've been hosting tours for a long, long time, and we're excited to have you with this group to Croatia next month.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to this. I've been working, taking groups around Australia and New Zealand for 13 years. And really looking forward and excited to meeting you all in Croatia.
Exactly. So so take a close look at Mara's face. She'll meet you at the hotel when you arrive in Bled on October the 9th, on the first day of the trip. So Mara and I are going to just, as I say, give you some info about what to expect along the way. And what to get ready for. So we're just going to sort of rhyme through stuff. And if something pops in your mind, as some of you have already done, please do mark it down in the chat box or in the Q&A, and we will make sure that all your questions get answered. If you have a question that's specific to your own booking or your own travel arrangements, that's best suited for Paula or Barb, whoever you booked your trip with. And then they can sort you out on that. But more general questions about the trip and what you need and so on and so forth. So touching on passport and documents, there's not a lot to say here other than just make sure you know where your passport is. And if you keep it in one place, don't move it. We always seem to get calls from people who are a bit panicked and say, oh, I misplaced my passport and I just saw it, 3 months ago, or whatever it happens to be. So just make sure that you're aware that it's there in a safe place, and also that it's valid for at least past the date of the return on your trip. We probably would have looked at that for you because we obviously check these things. We have copies of your passport that Mara has access to, and for some reason we should need it. But I always like to as well take a photograph of the info page of my passport with my phone, just in case. You never know. It does happen. People lose things or forget them somewhere or whatever. So having that handy, or a photocopy for that matter. Similarly, some people like to print their air tickets. I don't. You don't need to, as long as you have that confirmation number in your hand. But I know that some of our members feel more comfortable having these key things printed out. The only other documents that you need, and we'll touch on that in a second, really is any prescriptions that you might have. As well as, I think that it's handy to take your sort of any key passwords. For example, email. What we find sometimes with members is that they somehow get logged out of their account on their phone or whatever, and then all of a sudden have to log back into Gmail or Hotmail or whatever it had. And of course, we don't generally think about taking that information with us unless we have a passport manager. So just be cognizant of having whatever info at your disposal, either stored in your phone or on a piece of paper. That's handy. There's of course no COVID restrictions anymore for the EU, so you're all good there. But that's about all that you should know. Talking about packing, maybe Mara, you want to tell us a little bit about what you think that people should bring for this trip in terms of the weather and so on.
Yeah, look, I just think we all need layers, because the weather, the daytime should be relatively warm, in the low 20s maybe, or the late teens. And night times, especially on the boat, will be a bit cool. So I just advise to, to bring layers, and also, we could run into a bit of rain, so just be prepared for that also.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
hopefully it should be warm enough to go swimming, which I'm looking forward to in those beautiful waters. And so make sure you have a swimming cosy, as we call them in Aussie.
Exactly. A swimsuit or bathing trunks, as we call them in Canada. I think
Yeah.
that's very good advice. I think the name of the game here is that it's casual, right? We have the
Yeah,
boat to
casual.
ourselves. It's chartered exclusively for us, so you don't need really anything fancy. It's casual. And as Mara mentioned, weather should be warm. I mean, you never really know these days, but traditionally early October is a great time to go because the summer heat has passed, but it's still warm enough to swim. But in the evenings, you could get a cool breeze off the Mediterranean. So having a wind protect, like a windbreaker, or even something that's lightly lined in case the temperature does drop to the low teens, which it could very well in October. That way you'll be ready sort of for everything. Sun protection is also key because you're going to want to spend a lot of your time out on deck. This is not a
Yeah.
cruise that sort of hang out in the cabin much. It's really about being out on deck as you're sailing each morning, and enjoying the incredible coastal scenery in the archipelago. So sun protection is really, really important. Talking about other things to get ready for, maybe Mara, you want to mention a few things that members might want to consider to bring with them?
Look, you can buy most things over there.
That's true.
I always make sure I've got my electronics. My charger, my connection for Europe.
Yeah, your adapter, like you see on the
My
screen.
adapter, yeah, all that kind of stuff. I always travel with Ziploc bags. They're always handy for different things. And yeah.
Yeah, I think Ziploc bags is handy, particularly when you're on a boat or in case it rains. I like to take them too, because stuff just will stay dry regardless if it gets splashed on or if it rains or something like that. We will be trialing a new tour guide system there, like they call them whispers. Instead of using your conventional, like those little radios that you have to wear around your neck, like the tour groups, which I find quite cheesy. We will trial a system there. It's not essential because we're in 2 small groups anyway, with our guides. But if you do have your phone with you, then and if you have a set of earphones, either wired earbuds or the Bluetooth wireless ones, bring those along as well. I find it's neat too, in case you're watching a movie or something on your phone. But again, because we may trial this tour guiding system that enables you to wander around while you're on tour. So that's not set in stone yet. We're still working out the technical details with that. But taking your phone as well, we suggest please do take your phone with you. You will find Wi-Fi in all the hotels and on board the ship. The signal strength, the bandwidth on ship is not super strong, but it's certainly enough to send emails and to do a bit of web browsing and so on. It all depends on the proximity because the ship uses the cellular network. If you are somebody that really wants to be connected to the internet, and a lot of our members more and more do, you can pick up a SIM card when you get to Slovenia, when you get to Ljubljana, to Bled, because you can buy them pretty much anywhere. And you can get a prepaid card at a relatively nominal cost, and then you'll be online, whenever you need to. So the only qualification for that is that you need to have an unlocked phone. Most phones sold in the last few years from most providers are already unlocked, which means they're not stuck to a certain mobile phone provider. If you're not sure, call wherever you bought your phone from and say, hey, is my phone unlocked? Or ask a family member or a junior family member. They're a lot more technically versatile with these things than we are. And the only other thing I wanted to mention as well is if you do suffer from motion sickness, I mean, we're generally the experience that we've had on these trips in the past has been that the sea is relatively calm. You will, in fact, our last trip was hosted by Todd, and he gets very seasick, but he used these patches. And reported that he didn't have any problems on the boat at all. So, and so he's like our canary in the coal mine, if you will. So that was.
You know what I use, Gordon?
Yeah,
and everyone, I use ginger tablets.
There you go.
And they're a natural seasick tablet, and they are great. Ever since I've been using ginger tablets, I've never had seasickness. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a tip from an expert in traveling all over the place.
Yeah.
So those are a few of the things that you might think of to bring along with you. Let's talk about currency for a second here. Throughout this trip, we use the euro. So the Croatia has just adopted the euro as of the 1st of January of this year. So you don't have to worry about their former local currency. The kuna is probably maybe still accepted, but anyway, you can't get it anymore. So it's not relevant. It's now the euro. Both Slovenia, Croatia, as well as our day trip up to Austria. So that makes things easier. ATMs are everywhere, but more importantly, just like at home, you can tap your card in just about any restaurant, cafe. You can use your credit card or debit card just like we would at home. It makes life a lot easier. That being said, avid travelers use the Wise card. This is what we suggest. We get nothing out of it for suggesting it, by the way. Maybe we should, but I use it religiously. Because this is a multi-currency prepaid credit card. So you load it up with Canadian dollars. You can convert it into 50 other currencies, including obviously the euro, at exchange rates that your bank can't even touch. With all due respect, Canadian banks, but they charge you through the nose for exchange rates on credit cards. So the Wise is a great way to get around it. We give you the link in the pre-trip information documents so that you can look into it, read the website, and get one. It's basically, I think you have to put $30 on the card to be able to get it, but they credit that to your account. And so you can use the money so it doesn't effectively cost anything. And up to like 350 Canadian dollars in cash withdrawals are free each month. When we say free, meaning on the card side. So if a bank machine locally charges the service charges, which some of the non-bank ones do, you have to pay that fee regardless. But your guides there will point you in the direction of where to get money. All that being said, honestly, I wouldn't go to great lengths to get euros in Canada. They're not easy to get. Most banks don't carry them. And so, and the currency exchange places in the airport charge, I'm sorry to say, a ridiculous exchange rate. So I honestly, I show up with no cash. I go to the first ATM I see, I grab out a couple hundred euros, and it's probably more than you'll need because obviously most of the trip expenses are covered, and you can use a credit card to pay almost anywhere. There's maybe the odd small side of the road merchant that only takes cash, but that's the exception rather than the norm. So that's what I wanted to say about currency and the Wise card. We use an app called Telegram for any communication during the trip, which is again why we suggest that you bring a phone. The instructions on how to download it are in the pre-trip information document. There's also a million YouTube videos on how to set it up. It is super simple. It is basically like if you already use WhatsApp, or if you use iMessage, or if you use Facebook Messenger, it's basically the same thing. It's a chat app. We like it because it's very private, because most people don't know it, and therefore you can use it for the trip, delete the app afterwards, and you don't have to share any of your private information with anybody. So it's completely anonymous and confidential. And Mara will use it typically in the late afternoons, evenings, to send out any messages about what's happening the next day. Obviously, you're going to have meetings and briefings with Mara and the guides, but if anything else comes up, it'll be sent out by telegram, and so that's why we're using this this great app. And at the beginning, some people struggle a little bit with it, but I promise you that once you get used to it, it's fantastic, because it will also enable you to chat with other members of the group, and again on a sort of a private and confidential basis. So,
and it's been it's
Sorry?
been lovely. It's been lovely just getting a few of your messages already, and just connecting that way. So that's been lovely for me.
Yeah, great. And so you get a chance to meet Mara, and then obviously as well, and I'll come to that with the in a minute about arriving in Slovenia. But you can always reach out to Mara as well and say, hey, we're delayed or something's wrong, and you know, get straight to her. Another good reason to have the app handy. If you have any troubles with we don't really have the facility to educate people on how to use it. It is quite simple. I strongly recommend load it up on your phone, get it set up. If you have a problem, ask a family member, usually a younger family member. I always say if you hand it to any 12-year-old, they'll have it set up and running for you in about 3 minutes flat. Whereas some of us, myself included, can be a little bit more technically challenged with this stuff. I just wanted to mention this because this has come up in feedback we've gotten from members from previous trip, just talking about our sort of 2 specific items under the topic of health protocols. First of all, smoking. Very few of our members smoke, and we are not prejudiced against smokers, but at the same time, we prefer that, well, in fact, don't prefer. We request that there's no smoking while on tour, while with other members of the group. The ship will have probably a smoking area somewhere at the very back in a designated spot. And so we just ask that if you are a smoker, that you just use that discretion and just do it not in the vicinity of other members. That's a request. We all know how most Canadians feel about smoking, and again, that's not meant if you are a smoker, but just please do be mindful of that. You'll be used to that from home anyway. And more importantly, talking about health, if you feel at all ill, even if it's just a common cold or whatever it is during the trip, please do inform Mara. But most importantly, if you're symptomatic with anything, if you have even a bit of a cough, or if you have a bit of sniffles or sneezing, please, we ask you to bring and wear a mask at those times. Just again, you may well just have a cold or whatever it happens to be, but given what we went through for 2 years of the pandemic, people are a bit anxious about it. And so I wanted to mention that. Please just have a mask on hand in case you should have the sniffles or a cough. That way, your other trip members will feel comfortable. So that's an important one that I wanted to mention. So let us talk now briefly about Slovenia. And I see a number of questions have come in. I promise we will address all the questions in the Q&A section. When you fly to Slovenia, so the 24 hours before flying is the most critical part, in the sense of just be mindful of any messages that you get from the airline. If there's a delay in the flights or a change or, God forbid, a cancellation of flights, it does happen. If you get any information that you will not that there is a problem with flights, that you will not arrive on the flight that you're scheduled on because there's a misconnection, or if there's going to be a significant delay. I'm not talking about our transfer crew, the guys that will pick you up at the airport in Ljubljana will know if your flight's late, so that's not a problem. But if you're going to not make that flight, then it's important that you email delays@wheelandanchor.ca. Please, that is the most important email address to keep handy, not any other address, because it goes out to the members of our team who are monitoring this trip, and can therefore take action and make sure that our local partners are informed about any changes to your itinerary, and we can make sure that somebody is waiting for you when you arrive at the airport. Do arrive early. Do be mindful of the weight of your luggage, particularly considering that there's a good chance you might pick up something along the way. So you want to make sure you've got space for any little tidbits that you pick up. And I just want to talk about jet lag. We've been suggesting to members, and this was again advice from one of our other hosts, Amber, an app called timeshifter.com. In fact, I'm headed to Europe in a couple of days, and I've downloaded it. And it's really cool because you put in your flight information and it tells you how best to prepare yourself for jet lag, because it's inevitable that you're going to have it. But I can tell you, Amber and some of our members who've used this app say, if you follow the instructions, it is amazing. You will feel so much better the first day or two when the jet lag is generally the worst. So again, the website address is there in the pre-trip information, timeshifter.com. Try it. You won't be disappointed. And when you get to Ljubljana, finally, you will be met at the airport with somebody who will have a sign that will either be the wheel and anchor sign or a sign with your name on it, or both. We always tell them to bring both. We never sure which one they'll use. And look for somebody there to who will bring you up to Lake Bled when you arrive. And it's very possible that you will be arriving with other members at the same time, because a lot of people are coming in on the same flights from all the different locations. And
I'll be in the hotel lobby to meet most of you as you come through after you arrive. Yeah,
exactly. So Mara will be waiting in Lake Bled because people are arriving on different flights. And so if you don't see your transfer driver right away, don't panic. Sometimes they're, talking about smoking, sometimes they're having a cigarette around the corner. They're supposed to be there, but you never know when flights arrive, and there could be multiple flights, but they are usually hanging around. Ljubljana airport is not terribly big, so we've never had a problem. I'm sure you will be there, but your contact information, all that is on the transfer voucher that you will have already received. So so then you'll get to Slovenia, you'll head up to Lake Bled, and Mara will be there welcoming you with open arms to Slovenia, and getting you set up and checked in and all the rest of this kind of stuff. So I will talk a little bit about, again, I'll give you an overview of the program. I'm sure you've looked at it by now. You're familiar with all the aspects of it. The first 4 nights of the trip are in Bled, Lake Bled, which is this spectacular lake on the foothills of the Alps. So this is a great place to start off the trip. From here, you're going to be visiting Ljubljana and the Postojna caves, which are amazing. In fact, I was talking with Todd, our host on the last Croatia trip, and he's like, this is the most incredible caves. It's an absolute not miss. It's a terrific trip. You're going to be heading up into the alpine regions of Slovenia, visiting Lake Bohinj and seeing a wonderful waterfall there. You're going to cross the border into Austria, into the province of Carinthia, and then you're going to go overland, making the drive down to Plitvice, which is Croatia's most famous national park, where we'll spend part of a day and an overnight, and then you'll continue down via Trogir to Split, where, of course, you're going to embark on the ship for the 7-day cruise that's going to take you all around this amazing archipelago of southern Croatia, as well as Dubrovnik, one of the highlights of the trip, and then back to Split. And then the last part of the trip will be overland again via Zadar, up to the Istrian Peninsula. That's this peninsula that sticks out here, the largest peninsula in Croatia, and this is the food capital. And you're going to be staying near Opatija and visiting Pula, Rovinj, Motovun, a different experience. Really nice way to close out this amazing trip before heading back to Ljubljana and flying home. So just to talk on a couple of the notes of the trip, I think one thing just to mention here is this is a walking trip, in the sense of that there are lots of places to walk. For those who don't wish to walk as far, there's always options to sort of shortcut parts of the trip if there is a lot of walking. But we do suggest, if you haven't already been getting out there, getting some exercises, go try to get those 10,000 steps in a day, because you will really feel and you'll be able to enjoy so much more. When you get to Lake Bled, One of the things that I think is amazing to do, you can walk there's a beautiful path all the way around the lake. I mean, it looks huge, but it's actually doable in about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. You can walk all the way around the lake. It's amazing. Yeah, so, and obviously lots of fun things to do there. There's, for example, when we walk up to the castle in Bled, yeah, you can see it up here. Our minibuses can only go so far, so there is a bit of a steep hill to walk up the last bit of it. Same thing in Bohinj, when we see this amazing lake that's even bigger than Lake Bled. It's just such a beautiful part of the world. Hopefully there'll be lots of colors at that time, but again, a fair bit of walking to do the waterfall, but not essential. So there's always a way, in conjunction with Mara and the local guide, to sort of, circumvent, hang out at a cafe. No matter where you go, everything's going to be beautiful anyway. Postojna as well does require a bit of a walk in to the cave, and then there's a little railway that takes you around and sort of back out. And the walkways can be somewhat uneven, but as this is one of the most amazing sites in Croatia, in Slovenia, you won't want to miss it. But we also put in the pre-trip information document that for those that really would rather not, we can drop you off in Ljubljana on the way if anybody doesn't want to, but I really recommend visiting. As I say, we'll visit Austria as well, the Wörthersee in the southern part of Austria. The Plitvice Lakes are accessed by sort of narrow boardwalks like you see here. There's a short boat ride as well in Plitvice, and hopefully you'll get to see some of the lovely waterfalls that this whole area is so well known for. Split itself is a beautiful city. We moor right adjacent to the downtown, and so that first day when you arrive, you'll be able to sort of wander around, get a feel for this amazing city. You are on the Ave Maria. This is one of the finest ships afloat in Croatia. I'm really excited for you on this trip because this is really a top-notch vessel, and that'll be your home for the 7 days. And you'll have Mara there to give you a hand, as well as the cruise manager and the other crew of the ship. It's going to be a great experience. You'll visit town. So the typical itinerary for each day is that the ship is in port overnight. And so this gives you the opportunity to sort of wander on and off. You can go out for a late night drink, obviously for dinner in the towns. And in the morning, sometimes before you wake up, sometimes around breakfast time, the ship will move away from town and move on to the next destination, sometimes with a swimming stop along the way, depending on the timing and the rules and all the rest of it. And then you'll arrive in the early afternoon after having lunch on the boat. Then you'll disembark to visit these wonderful towns like Korčula and Dubrovnik and so on. And then there's often a guided tour, 1 or 2 hours, and then lots of time to wander around and explore on your own. Dubrovnik, the schedule will be sort of finalized that morning because they are managing the schedule of many ships that come and go from the Dubrovnik harbor. We have a special dinner outside the main gate of Dubrovnik that I won't tell you all about, but it's one of the highlights of the culinary experience on this trip. Yeah, as I say, we'll stop at spots like Peljasac where you can go swimming and enjoy this. The scenery is just so beautiful everywhere, and you'll have amazing stops at places as well, like Far along the way. And as I mentioned, after your 7 nights, you won't want to leave the boat, but we're going to force you to get off anyway. And we're going to drive up to Istria and really enjoy the amazing countryside, the green hills. This is, as I say, the breadbasket of Croatia, and a great way to spend the last few days of the trip before heading back to Ljubljana. So I see a whole bunch of questions, so we're going to try and answer them now between Mara and I. I'm going to start from the top and go down. Do you need Croatian kuna? No, as I mentioned, Croatia is no longer using the only euros that you need. Trish asked about walking sticks. You're going to be walking in urban, like in towns most of the time. If you are listen, walking sticks are excellent for those of us, including myself, in the latter part of life. But we're not going on lengthy hikes. So, you know, if you're comfortable using walking sticks in a town, in a village, in an urban environment, by all means, bring them if they're convenient, but they're not essential for this trip. What is the name of the hotel that we stay at the beginning of the trip? So the first hotel you're staying in is the Park Hotel. All of the details will be in the documentation that was sent to you, the name, the phone number, the address. It's all there. Look through it. And if you, for some reason, you can't find it, I'm sure it's there. You can always drop a message to our office. Do you need a hairdryer? Is that provided on the boat? That is a good question. That is a good question.
I think hair dryers are supplied on the boat.
I'm pretty sure they're supplied on the boat, but we can double check that, Anna, and get back to you. The plug adapters on the ship will be European style adapters, so the two round plugs. So you do need to bring an adapter. So I suggest getting a universal one because you may very well need it for other trips. But you need the European adapter to be able to plug in North American appliances. Anna asked about if the wide card automatically converts currency. Yes, it automatically converts currency, and as far as I've ever experienced, the best exchange rates that you can get at a retail level anywhere. So it's really, really terrific. Do you need cash on board the boat? No. So you will basically charge any purchases on the boat to your cabin, and then they will give you a bill at the end that you can pay with a credit card or the Wise card or in cash or however you want. But you do not need cash on board the boat. The only thing that you need it for is any beverages that you might purchase that are beyond what's included with the culinary part of the program. Let's see a few more questions here. Is there an opportunity to do laundry through the trip? The best opportunity to do laundry will probably be after the cruise or when you first arrive in Slovenia. But as you're only going to be there for the first few days, you probably don't need to do laundry at the beginning. But there are no laundry facilities on board the boat. So the first opportunity would be when you arrive in Istria, in Opatija. You can do laundry at the hotel there, but otherwise that's about it. Otherwise, you know, if you just have a few things like, you know, socks and undergarments and so on, you can do that in the sink, but there is no laundry facility on board the boat. They send all of their linens and towels and stuff to be done on shore. The boats aren't really big enough for that kind of facility. Is denim acceptable in the cities? Yes, you can absolutely wear jeans everywhere. It's totally, in fact, everybody will be wearing them. So again, it's casual. It's you can wear whatever you would feel comfortable at home. The delays email, I will put it here once again in the chat box, delays@wheelandanchor.ca. It is in the documents that we've sent to you. That is the email address if you do run into a problem. Malka asked a question. American money, forget it, leave it at home. Don't bother with American money. There's absolutely no benefit to using US dollars whatsoever. They won't accept it. And you'd have to change Canadian to get American to go back to euros. Doesn't make any sense. Don't bother with US dollars. Oh, good. I think we've covered most of the questions. If there are any other questions that I have not answered, then please do drop us a note because we want to get them all answered for you. Mara, is there anything else that we need to mention, or have I covered everything?
Not that I can think of, but look, if any of you do have any questions, you can always also ask me by telegram. And, you know, I'm looking forward to hearing from the ones I haven't got a message from on Telegram also. So if you just want to, you know, ask any kind of question, you can always text me on Telegram.
Yeah, fantastic. So so please do set up Telegram, send Mara a message. Again, all the info was sent to you already, but if you feel like you're missing something, send a note to our office. And Harveen asked about how many people are on the trip. I think it's Mara, is it 30?
I thought it was 24.
Okay.
Or is it?
No, it's somewhere. Hold on one second. I'll tell you exactly. It is about see, there you go. I got stumped on a question that I should know the answer to. So we have the whole vessel. And so we are split into two groups for all of our touring. So just for anybody that that wasn't already informed at the beginning. So we have the whole ship. That's why we have a group of about 30 people. And let's see, I see
30.
33 minus 8. No, I think 26 is the number. We have 26
20.
people on this trip. So you'll be split into two groups of roughly 13, or it could be 14 and 12. So we have very intimate touring around. So you're other than when we're all together on the ship, or when we're all together having like our welcome dinner and our farewell dinner, for the most part, you're going to be you're split into two groups that you can mix and match as well. So, you know, Mara will make sure that there's an icebreaker at the very beginning of the trip. You get to meet other people, and so you can, you know, we try to keep this loose and fun and obviously all organized, but we want you to meet as many people as well along the way. That's part of the adventure. Good. I think we've covered all the questions, and yeah, it's been yeah. All right. So please do let us know if you do have any more. Please do reach out to Mara by telegram. Mara, final words from you.
And I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. And look, it'll be such good fun over there. I love good fun on my trips, and also, you know, we can't not have fun because it's such a beautiful place too. So you know, it'll be exciting traveling there for all of us, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. Mara's contact on Telegram, somebody asked, it's in the pre-trip information document. Do you know your Telegram handle by off the top of your head, Mara?
Look, it's at Mara Ishbar. Marishbar.
MAR
Mara Ishbar. Ishbar
is your username on Telegram.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, great. So I've just responded to that message there. But once again, it should be in your pre-trip information documents. If you have any problem with that of getting a hold of Mara, again, you can just drop an email to our office, and either Mara will email you back, or Paula or Barb will make sure you get looked after. I promise you that. So once again, take care. Thanks again. Have a marvelous time. I'm going to be in Croatia about a week before you guys, and I will unfortunately miss you, but I will be setting the stage for an awesome adventure. Take care. Have yourselves a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
and thanks, Mark.
Gordon, and see you all soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.